Hello, welcome back to Coffee and Colorful Conversation. Happy Wednesday. Was everyone freaking out when Facebook and Instagram were down for a day? I know it was a weird day for me. I had so many things that I had planned to go live and do to talk about revival. I didn't know what to do with myself when I couldn't do any of it. I just caught up on emails and such. So today I wanted to talk about something that I don't see enough people talk about in the education space for hairstylists. And it's when doing any type of corrective color, or not even corrective color conversions, when you're taking someone who's very blonde, who decides seasonally, because 'tis the season, it's not just pumpkin season, it's every blonde wants to be a brunette season. It seems when the leaves start to change, so does everybody's perspective on what color hair they want. So if you're anything like me and you have clients who go back and forth between blonde and brown and blonde and brown, you get pretty good at doing those conversions both safely and effectively. You want to, make sure that the hair is in the best condition. You want to make sure that you go about it in a way where it's going to hold. You don't want it to wash out, but yet you don't want it to be so much of a hold that it's got a grip like a bad, home color level 2 inky dark color that you're then trying to make blonde, months later. So let's dive into it. I had the pleasure of joining my friend Joe Santee on the Olaplex users group yesterday talking about this topic. And from judging by the comments, I thought, you know what, there may be a couple people that this is going to be a repeat for if they happen to be on the Olaplex users, but I think most people would rather hear it twice than not hear it at all. So let's dive in. So, someone like me comes and sits in your chair, and she's been coming to you and you've been highlighting her, and you're finally at the point where, she's got some cool blonde. She doesn't have a lot of brassiness. You're in a flow. She's not growing in really quickly. It's a really nice place to be in. And suddenly she says, I'm over this blonde. I'm not on the beach anymore. I'm not in the sun anymore. I just want to go deeper. I'm ready. And you're like, oh, here we go. So first of all, my biggest advice is take your time with a consultation, because sometimes it's so spontaneous and out of nowhere. When a client does that is when I'm concerned. When you have those clients that go back and forth, I'm not concerned. I get it. I know they do it all the time. But when someone who's been, taking you outside with the hand mirror saying you missed a spot with their blonde and they want it growing out of their skull, and all of a sudden they show you a picture of, a really deep, rich chocolate brunette, that's cause for concern. So I shared with my insiders, and I'm sorry I didn't bring all my props out because I never know what the heck I'm going to say. But I had all these props with discerning whether someone's warm or cool. And I have a lot of these little inexpensive clip-in bangs that I use to put on the person's face, because it's nice that it's bangs, because it surrounds their own forehead and it frames their eyes and their skin tone. So I can really see what a color is going to look like on someone. These clip-in bangs are priceless. They're like $7 at the most. It's not human hair. You can't color them or anything. They're not, fabulous quality, but it's such a great visual that you can show that guest that, I could be sitting there having a conversation, and chances are the picture that I'm showing you is a Kardashian, where they have the skin tone that goes with the dark hair. Sometimes it's harder to get used to a Kardashian as a blonde than it is as a brunette. So we all have different skin tones, eye colors, lifestyles, makeup. Some people don't wear enough makeup to pull off a transition like that. So it's your job to let them know that it's more than just us dumping a one color fix all over their hair. So let's talk about when they do proceed and say, yes, sign me up, I want it. I had a little Facebook tiff on one of the forums that I go on and answer questions, and sometimes it's well received and sometimes it isn't. And every time it isn't, I say, why am I trying to help these people? They don't want my help. But it pains me to let someone not know something that is so simple that I can type out in 5 seconds and help them moving forward. But people get very defensive. Other people jump in and they have their way of doing things. And I am not a know-it-all at all. I don't claim to know everything, but I know a lot about hair color. I've been doing this 35 years. We watched, if you haven't seen it, there's an amazing 60 Minutes that was from, I think, 2 nights ago. It was a story on Tony Bennett and his Alzheimer's. So if you don't know, my father just passed away from Alzheimer's. So I'm very familiar with it. It breaks my heart that Tony Bennett now has it. He's 95. He performed at 95 with Lady Gaga, and half the days he doesn't know who he is or where he is. He didn't miss a beat on this performance. It was such a great show. It was absolutely amazing. And I turned to my husband and I said, well, if it's in the genes and I'm going to get it, what's going to happen is, they said, whatever you're the most passionate about in your younger years that takes up most of your brain is what you're going to be able to access if you get dementia or Alzheimer's. So I said, I'm going to be shitting my pants, not knowing who you are, being a pain in the ass, but I'm going to be able to point to any lady in the supermarket and tell you what her formula is, because I've done this for 35 years and I absolutely love it. I could talk about hair color all day long, every day, weekends, holidays, it does not matter. It is my passion. So that's, why I feel the need to answer in these groups when I'm not specifically asked. And then I'm always like, you know what, let me stick to my own group. So you're my group, my insiders are my group. So I want to give you all the love and information, and take what you want and leave what you don't agree with, and, keep doing what you're doing. Hopefully it's working. So when you have someone who's really pale blonde, chances are they're not all one color pale blonde. They have some spots that are more gold. They have some spots that are super pale. So I wanted to share some photos, and I had a very entertaining morning going through my Google Photos to find these photos. You forget how many funny pictures you have on your feed. Like, they're not on my phone anymore, so I forget about them. I do have to take the time to print them out at some point because they're just too good to not keep. So I grabbed some of them and put them in here, and I'm joining you on StreamYard so that I could screen share easily. So I don't see the comments as easily. So if you've asked a question, I will at the end of this go back and check for questions. So something that I did in my, oh crap, did it not save? Oh, there it is. Something that I did for my insiders membership is a complete tutorial on this technique. It was my cousin's daughter. They did a double process on her. She's in her early 20s, and they did a double process. And I don't ever recommend that. It's way too much maintenance. She looks like her hair is black compared to the lightened pieces because the hair is so light. So she's a natural blonde, like a level 7 in real life, beautiful natural base. But because they did the double process, look at how black that looks at her roots. That's a whole other conversation, a whole other class. But I wanted to share with you, zone 2 in her hair has a lot of gold in it. Zone 3 all the way down to her bra strap is like, level 100, ready to snap off. Totally white, lacking any pigment whatsoever. So anytime I see something like that, my absolute favorite go-to, you might want to get a pen for this one, is a color that is so misunderstood and so underutilized from Redken Shades EQ. It is their 09AA. If you're not a Redken Shades EQ user, you could pick up that bottle and be like, oh, wow, a level 9 double ash. How awesome. I'm going to use this all the time. And you will shortly find out that it is Auburn Auburn. Shame on the person who named that color because it's very confusing. 99.9% of colors, when you see A, it equals ash. Not for Redken Shades EQ. They decided to make it Auburn Auburn. So it is palest bozo orange color. When I first got Shades EQ in 25 or plus years ago, when it first came out, they sent us an intro with all the shades. And there was a shade called Banana. It was 9Y. And there was 09AA, this Auburn Auburn. And of course, the swatch ring, when I looked at it, I was like, whoa, it was like, brighter than this level 6 orangey color. So it was just like super bright but light orange. So I was like, when in God's name would I ever want to use a color that looked like that? I said to the distributor rep, take this back and give me like, six bottles of an N. Just replace it with an N because I know I'm going to run out of N. I'm never using those two colors. Well, it turns out 9Y doesn't exist anymore, and I really wish it did because I had to replace it with a PM Shines 9Y, and that's the secret to Jennifer Aniston's beautiful hair color is a 9Y. So I missed the banana, but the papaya, the 09AA, is the secret sauce to filling in that level 100, ready to crack off on the ground hair because it is void of all color. So remember, there's 450,000 classes that you can sign up for where they'll teach you how to do a teasy light, a foliage, a balayage, a freehand paint, basic foiling, advanced foiling. Everybody's teaching you how to lift it, but not everybody's teaching you how to bring it back down. So what goes up must come down. I'm rambunctious today. So everything that you took out when you're going, these are the natural levels of hair, and then these are the levels of pigment that you go through when you're lightening hair. So starting from here, every level that you come up, you're getting warmer and warmer. You're going from like a deep woodsy red to an orange to a palest orange gold to paler gold to pale yellow to white. So when you're at white, as Sadie was on her ends, when you're there, you can't just go back in with a level 7 or 6 or whatever you think she is at her regrowth and just dump it all over her head. What do you think is going to happen if you do that? I'm going to check in on the comments. Uh-oh, it says video froze. Am I talking to myself today? And I'm singing to myself today? That can't be good. Let me know in the comments if I'm still with you and you still can see me and hear me. Because that would be embarrassing that I'm singing to myself. So Michelle says green. Yes, it could go green depending on what you're using for the color. But the hair needs that foundation. And I say the word foundation all the time because a lot of us missed the foundations of color that would tell you what you need to do in these situations. And the foundations never change. The chemistry never changes. It's always the same. So you can cheat the system and say, well, she's going back to her natural. I'm just going to put whatever her natural is. And sometimes you may get away with it. Sometimes it'll be okay. In that case that I showed you, I don't think it would ever be okay because it was so white and so void of color. So what is that 09AA? It is the lightest, palest version of orange that I have been able to find. I'm sure other lines have it. But what I found is most demi lines, the palest, warmest colors tend to be a gold, where I want gold with a little bit of copper flare. I want that little bit of orange in there in that base. So the reason that I used 9AA on her is because we weren't going all the way to her natural. We just wanted to natural up and make it more believable, vanilla, beautiful blonde. So I'm not going to go in and fill with, a level 7 copper for that situation because I'm not going all the way down to a 5, if that makes sense. So what you want to do, the rule of thumb is for every 2 levels deeper, you want to fill at that level. So if I'm going from a 9 to a 5, I would want to go in on the 9 with a 7 first, let that stain the hair, then rinse it, towel dry it, go back in with your target shade of your level 5. But in this example, I was just trying to make her a normal vanilla to transition her back into highlights. So I want you to see what it looks like and how scary it is when you're using the shade. It's terrifying. And so many people write to me in my membership and they're like, I'm so afraid. I mixed it. It looks like blood. It looks like ketchup. And it does. It looks very scary, and it's very scary on the hair. This is what it looks like when it's processing. So imagine Sadie came in and she was white blonde, and now she's looking in the mirror, which tip here is don't have a mirror when you're doing corrective color. We don't have a mirror in our color area. So she couldn't see herself. but she did get a glimpse of herself on the way to the sink and was like, holy crap, is this okay? Like, are you making me a redhead? Because she's been a fiery redhead, so she knows what that looks like. So this formula is 09AA, the papaya we talked about, with 8GG. 8GG is another weapon in my arsenal of Shades EQ because it's 2 parts gold and it's like a 14 karat gold. What a lot of you may not know is in Redken Shades EQ, their traditional G formula is a green based gold. So if I were to use a G in this filler formula, say a 9G or a 7G, it actually would be a little khaki funky because it's a little bit of a green gold. So I turned to the GG for that 14 karat gold. So I wanted that gold and that pale orange because that's the level that you want to fill in when you're up that high at that level 9. So by using a 9 and an 8 together, I'm getting like an 8.5 fill. I'm trying to bring her back down to a believable blonde color and not French fried level 38. So I want to show you, I couldn't find a picture of the after that wasn't a video. So I have to do this short little video with this little guy saying, huh? But that's the result. So you would never think that, oh, why did that go away? Oh, because it ended. Let me do it again. You would never think that that would be the result of all of that ketchup on her head. So don't be afraid of 09AA. And if you are afraid, add a little bit of clear the first time that you use it and literally stand with the guest and watch their hair. Watch how it fills in. Take a piece. I always recommend using a white towel to check your color because it's so orange and it's going to look so bright that you're going to be like, oh my gosh, and you're going to rush her to the sink and you're going to rinse it and be like, it needed 5 more minutes. So wipe it off completely with a white towel until you see that beautiful, just a touch of butter. Picture when you go to the movies and you're feeling naughty and you want some butter on your popcorn and that butter hits the popcorn and it's that beautiful, sheer, shiny, glowy, golden color, but it's not a brassy, ugly color yellow. It's just like vanilla beautiful. So it just fills that in. So hopefully you're taking the time that you need to prep the hair and do all of the steps when you're going to the dark side. Because as I said, just dumping something on all over, yes, it saves us time. It makes it easier on us as the colorist because we're on a clock. We're always trying to stay on time, but you're really doing yourself and the guest a disservice because you're going to get a phone call. You're either going to get a phone call that day when they hit the sun and they see themselves in a store mirror and they're like, wait a minute, my hair looks really green. Or they're going to call you 2 weeks from now and say, why am I blonde again? I just paid you all that money to go brown and I'm blonde again because you didn't put those foundational shades in there to build the hair back to where it was at the deeper levels. So I'm talking really fast, as I always do. So let's see what questions you have. Hey, Johnny, I'll be seeing you tomorrow. I'm so excited. I'm going to Johnny's salon tomorrow. And the girl whose photos I just shared with you, I'm finally getting to do her mother's hair. She hasn't had color in over a year. She has really long hair and I'm trying a brand new technique on her. So I'm really excited. So Johnny's going to watch me make all my mistakes and he's going to learn along with me. So Christy says, I think we just got a glimpse of you having a good time. Oh, you have no idea what I'm like in the salon. I'm sure they don't miss me in there. I was always very entertaining, to say the least. Diane said, you did this with me on a FaceTime call with a client in this very situation. Yep, I remember how terrified you were, Diane. I'm going to share this on the screen. Diane was terrified. We did a FaceTime. She's a member of my insiders. And I was like, you've got this. I'm going to be there with you. I think it was a Sunday or something, Diane, wasn't it? I think it was her day off, my day off. And I was like, I'll be right there with you. And thank God for technology because I was like, oh, nope, don't put it on that piece. That one's already nice. Put it on that piece. Put it on that piece. So sometimes you don't need to do something all over the head. Sometimes, I just had a member reach out. They had a client of theirs is a beautiful redhead and they cheated on my member and went elsewhere. Carolyn from Hawaii, she had shoulder surgery. So her guest went elsewhere and they put the permanent color, pulled it through the ends, the same formula as the regrowth. They pulled it through the ends, old school style. And what do you think happened? It browned out. It grabbed the base of the color And from, zone 3.5 all the way to the ends is this like matte, ugly brownish color. And she's this fiery, beautiful redhead. So Carolyn reached out and said, now what do I do? So I walked her through what to do, but she said, oh my God, that terrifies me. I said, you're right. That should terrify you if you're doing it to the whole head. But because we're only working on a little section from, it was like from here to here in the middle of her head was browned out. So I said, we're only working on that section. So be careful to only apply it there. So sometimes with corrective situations, we panic, right? They sit in their chair, we see the mess that they're bringing to us, and we're like, oh my gosh, I have to pull out the big guns, and we go right for bleach. We're like, bleach is the strongest, bleach is going to save the day. But what we sometimes don't realize, especially with some of the direct dye removal products that we mistakenly don't realize are bleach based, we say, oh, it's just going to remove the direct dye. Well, if it gets on hair that has natural pigment, it's going to start lifting that and create a bigger corrective mess. So doing things in zones and applying things carefully and understanding always the why behind what you are doing. So I could talk about this topic for another half hour, but I wanted to make sure to invite all of you. I'm so excited. I learn as much as you do. As a colorist of 35 years, I am never done learning. I am on everybody's, sign up for this free webinar, sign up for my class, learn this, learn that. I learn from younger stylists because I've been around too long sometimes. Old dog, new trick, the whole deal. But I'm always open to something new. And I get so excited when I see something that's not bullshit, that's not like all fluff and no substance. And I can name 5 techniques that I feel that way about right now. But when something is true, usable, amazing information, that gets my attention and I'm all in. So someone that I have literally stalked for the last probably 2 years of my career is an Australian colorist named Cherie Noble. If you're not familiar with her, she's beautiful, number one. Her branding is so on point. She loves pink, so everything is pink. And you guys know I'm always in pink. I have pink there and pink on my lips. She's amazing. And she's a Redken artist, and she's so generous with what she shares on her social media. She doesn't just tease something and show the before and the after and not share how it happened. She shows, how she got to where the before and after happened. So she is joining us for Revival. I cannot tell you how excited I am to have her. So because she's from Australia and most of you may not know who she is, I invited her to come live with me in this group. Because she's in Australia, I cannot possibly ever get her at 10 a.m. because it would be literally the middle of the night for her. So tomorrow night at 8 p.m. here, where you join me for coffee chats, I'm going to be live with Cherie. If you want to stalk her her Instagram page, in the meantime, it's Cherie Noble. It's ShereeKnobel. And I think she's like _ Bixie color, something like that. I can put it up here when I finish, but her Instagram is on point. The models are absolutely gorgeous. I'm like, where do they grow these women in Australia? Would I be hotter if I was born in Australia? I mean, they basically are like perfect, beautiful, gorgeous skin, gorgeous teeth, gorgeous hair. And every one of her hair colors is like dream hair color. Like not one piece is off tone or not fabulous. So she's jumping on live. We're going to talk about Shades EQ. I get so many questions about Shades EQ, and I still have a million questions about Shades EQ. So she just comes up with these recipes that you may not think of, and she is an absolute wealth of information. So please come back and join me tomorrow night right here on Expert Color Solutions for my live with Cherie. And again, she's joining us for Revival. If you did not get your ticket for Revival yet, what in the world are you waiting for? You still have the opportunity today until midnight to get not only Revival, but I'm bonusing everyone that gets their ticket by tonight because we're trying to get an idea of how many people, because we're going to do so many new fun things this year with breakouts. So we really need to find out who's coming. For all you last minute stragglers, you need to commit to me here. So I have a brand new class. It's called the Top 10 Mistakes That People Make Most Often When Glazing and Toning. So That class by itself is available now for $27. If you sign up for Revival, either general admission or VIP, both, you will get that class free. So it's basically getting $27 off of your ticket price of Revival if you would have planned on getting that class anyway. So you will get that in your library. I think that we are giving that right away after midnight tonight. So you'll get that before Revival, which is exciting. If you think about getting the general admission, I would rather you get general admission than not come at all. But I want to just make sure to be clear that general admission, you have to mark the time off as if you're going to an in-person show. You want to make sure you have nothing else on your calendar. You can be there all day Sunday and all day Monday because you're not going to have the replays. That's the purpose why we have the VIP ticket. We wanted everyone to be able to afford to come because we know this past year and a half has been tough for everyone. So we didn't want to make the barrier of entry not feasible for everyone, but we also wanted to reward people that go all in and want to meet our artists up close and personal at the VIP cocktail party and get all of the extra experiential swag. We did digital swag this year. So the swag is like 3 times more valuable than the physical swag was last year. We felt like we needed to really go crazy if we weren't going to send you a physical box. So the reason we stopped doing the physical box is this is a global event now. Last year, what started in my bedroom now is an international global event. We have educators, 2 from Australia, 1 from the UK, 1 from Ireland. Actually, 2 from the UK. 2 from the UK and 1 from Ireland. And we also have, our people coming back from last year from the Hamptons, New York. We have Vivian and Nick from the Hamptons. We have the Wilsons from California. So we have an amazing group of educators who are so passionate about what they do and sharing. And we've been chatting back and forth. We're all getting excited. We're starting to post a lot and get some energy going with it. So if you are going and you already bought your ticket, do us a favor and do a post, where you put a thumbs up and say, I'm going to Revival, something like that, where you can get the buzz going and get some more people joining us. The more the merrier. The energy is so great when you have a large group of people. And we want to get to know each other in the breakouts. So please, don't hesitate. I promise you, I would be shocked if anyone wrote to me and said, this was awful, I want my money back. We've never had that happen with any of our events. These are top-notch NAHA winning artists that have been in the industry, most of them longer than me, 35 plus years. And they're still every bit as passionate as they were the day that they started out. And imagine the wealth of knowledge and experience of their combined years in the industry. We have a whole new theme of one of our presenters this year is Dr. Lou. If you've been in the industry long enough, you'll know that Dr. Lou created a whole movement with letting us know the psychology behind what we do and how important what we do is, that it's not just hair, guys. If you haven't figured that out by now, you're not doing it right, because we are so much more than hair to our guests. We put our hands on them. We're the only people that can touch other people right now during this awful pandemic. They look forward to interacting with us, for us giving them advice on new restaurants nearby and a new lipstick or a new piece of jewelry or a new accessory. Like, they look up to us as their fashion and beauty consultants. So understanding that psychological connection can really help you with boundaries and just protecting yourself and not letting people make you feel bad when it's really not even about you, it's about them. So Dr. Lou makes me cry every time I watch him. I interviewed him for my podcast, and I was like, I have to have this man in Revival. So we're taking him out of his comfort zone because he has to be live on the computer, and it's going to be interesting for him to join us with the tech. But he's excited to be there, and we're excited to have him. So thanks for listening. I hope that those tips in filling helped you. If you don't have one of these, you should get one of these. This is a great tool. It's available on my website anytime, expertcolorsolutions.com. Tickets for Revival are available on there. I don't know if the $27 glazing class is on there yet, but it will be. And I think it might be on my Instagram, my link tree on my Instagram and my bio. But this is a great tool for not only figuring out the natural level, which sometimes we're all stumped on, which is very important, and also seeing the levels of remaining pigment contribution and where you're going to land. When you have one of these and you formulate, it's like, okay, she's here. I'm taking her here. I'm going to land here. I'm going to be orange. So I go in my color book and I say, what color cancels orange? Oh, it's blue. And I pick a color blue and I put it on the hair. It's that easy. That's formulation at its finest. So thank you as usual for joining me. I always enjoy these coffee chats, and please tell a friend and invite them to Cherie live tomorrow night, 8 p.m. right back here. I will see you all tomorrow. Thanks for watching.